So for this week's video, I thought it would be cool to talk a bit about what people have been doing within Roosevelt Church to care for one another and to connect with one another. And just different things that I've heard and that I've even personally experienced that allow us to continue to do the things that we want to do as a church family. Love one another well, care for one another well, and stay connected. Hopefully this is an encouragement to you all and maybe even inspiration. You hear some ideas of things that you all could do to, again, care and connect with the people that are around you in our church, and even beyond that, the people within our community, your friends, neighbors, all sorts of different people who would love to be cared for and connected to. So here's some of the things that are happening within Roosevelt. Something that, this happened to us. People have been dropping off care packages at doorsteps, and in our particular case, someone dropped off a care package with a whole lot of candy. That candy did not last long. Certainly helpful towards us continuing to gain weight as long as forever long we are sheltering in place. But we welcome it. It was a cool little thing in terms of just something that we enjoyed and a cool way to, again, care for people. So care packages, I think, is a great way to do the caring and connecting that we want to do. Also, this was actually a more practical thing. Someone dropped off some school curriculum this happened with us again, a particular example for us, which was really helpful for us as we are not nowhere near being homeschool teachers, but doing the best that we can. And so someone dropped off a bunch of different curriculum and other things, workbooks that we could use to help Giovanna, particularly our 6-year-old, in reading and writing. And so that's one of those sort of practical things as you think of particularly the parents around us, maybe dropping off some school-related things that they can use as they're educating their children during this time. Of course, sending letters and cards is a great idea, and I know a number of people have gone back to that old-fashioned way of actually writing out a letter, or I guess typing out a letter. That also works too, and sending them out. It's nice to sort of get something in your hands from someone else. Many of you already know that we've dropped off laptops for a couple of families who didn't have laptops or internet access. And so, practical thing as you think of needs that people might have. And these are that particular example, like the other one I just mentioned before, oriented towards like what do families need right now to care for their children. And so dropping off those laptops is another thing that we've been able to do, that people within Roosevelt have been doing to help one another. Toys are always nice. Again, another kids-oriented thing. So a number of people I've heard have dropped off just small little gifts of toys to help kids, encourage those kids. Well, not just even toys for little kids. I know of other things that have been cool. Small little gifts. Not quite toys for teenagers, but for these teenagers who are, particularly those who are graduating, there's been gift cards dropped off, candy as well for those teenagers, particularly those graduates. So that's been cool to see that happen amongst us. Of course, getting groceries is extremely helpful for some families. We haven't had as much of a need for that, but there's been a small number of cases where we've been able to do that. And what's been cool is I've been encouraged by how many of you have asked that, does anyone need groceries? Does anyone need us to go buy groceries for them and bring it to them? Or maybe someone doesn't even have the money for those groceries. And so I appreciate you guys and your generosity in doing that. And again, we haven't had a huge number of cases, but that's happened among us that you should be encouraged by and inspired by. And then these are all sort of things that people have dropped off and done for one another, but there's been some things people have done that maybe lend more in the sort of connection, the actual ways in which we want to still connect to one another in limited ways in person. And so some of the things I just heard today, some of the triad groups have gone and done social distancing camping. So of course I have nothing to do with camping and backpacking, but very cool from what I've been told about how they were able to do that. Being outside, being careful of course, but just a way to see each other in person and to be outside in beautiful spaces. So social distancing camping might be something you might want to do, or an idea I've heard of. I don't know if this has been done yet, but I know some of our groups are thinking of doing a kind of social distancing barbecue, backyard barbecue, where some of us who have bigger yards can be able to take advantage of that bigger space and, again, be in person with one another. And so those are just some ideas, some things that people are doing, and I think they're cool. I think they're again, encouraging to me. Hopefully they're inspiring to you. In all this, I just want to let you all know, or encourage you all to to be creative in how you think of how we might care for one another and connect with one another. This is a season to be very intentional about our relationships, and let's take that for what it is. That while we aren't happy to be in the particular season that we're in, one example in which the Lord might use this to positive effect among us is that it makes us think way more intentionally about our relationships. At least it should. It can be very easy to sort of just default to not thinking about the people around us, but use this season to think very intentionally about the relationships around you, and then to be creative towards how you care for people in those relationships and connect with people in those relationships. Those are some of the things that we've been doing so far. I look forward to some of the other things that we'll keep doing as the Lord guides us and blesses us.